Welcome back. In this session, we're going to look at how technical working groups contribute to the ACT methodology development based on the ACT framework. The ACT framework and the three first methodologies, electric utilities, auto manufacturers and retail, were developed by ADEM and CDP. Work followed an iterative process involving pilot companies from these three sectors and sectoral experts in a technical working group. An advisory board, drawing from relevant organisations, think tanks, NGOs, investor coalitions, policymakers and academics, oversaw the process. The development process included several consultation iterations between the methodology development team at ADEM and CDP and the technical working group. After each consultation, where issues were raised, discussed and clarified, new versions of the methodology were drafted by the development team based on feedback. The discussion points, assumptions, key decisions and rationale for those decisions were documented throughout the process. The ACT initiative has published guidelines setting out the methodology development process. The guidelines expand the principles set out in the ACT framework for the development of new ACT methodologies. They are intended in particular for those in charge of technical working groups, as well as for those called upon to draft sections or contribute to the work of methodology development. ACT methodologies are developed on a sector or activity basis. To be useful and address the right and relevant sectoral challenges, ACT methodologies are developed involving a range of stakeholders, namely company representatives and experts on the sector. The guidelines foresee three phases. 1. An incubation phase, related to the establishment of the sector technical working group. 2. A development phase, related to the design of the ACT sector methodology, as explained in a previous video. And finally, 3. A validation phase, related to the approval of the new ACT sector methodology. The incubation phase refers to the initiation of work for methodology development, mobilising the necessary resources, recruiting the development team, and appointing the technical working group and its chair. The technical working group should be a diverse group, ideally including 1. A significant representation of companies from the relevant business sector. 2. Business associations. 3. Experts from the business sector. 4. Consultants specialised in environmental or climate issues. 5. NGOs, environmental associations and consumer associations. 6. Government agencies and international organisations. And 7. Academics. Going into more detail on the development process, it starts with a research phase, where relevant studies, publications and academic reports addressing the subject of low-carbon transition in the sector are gathered, and relevant decarbonisation scenarios are identified and summarised. The technical working group then develops a proposal based on the key elements of the ACT sector methodology, which are principles, scope and boundaries, construction of the data infrastructure, data and indicators, assessment including weighting, the rating and the final aligned state. The proposal by the methodology development team is presented to the technical working group. Several iterations exist for the development team to draft versions of the methodology and address outstanding issues, with a period of presentation and consultation by the technical working group. This process is continued until there's agreement within the technical working group to present a version to public consultation. The advisory boards also consulted at this step. The feedback collected through the public consultation is addressed by the development team, and proposed responses are discussed in the technical working group. This might lead to new iterations of discussion and review until agreement's reached on a final version, which is presented to the board for validation. The technical working group sends the following documents to the board for final validation. 1. The sector methodology. 2. The list of comments and associated responses to the board. 3. A 2-page summary of the key points of the sector methodology to facilitate methodology assessment. The board validates the sector methodology, taking into account firstly the general quality of the methodology, secondly its compliance with the ACT framework, and thirdly the development procedure led by the technical working group, including if all comments from advisory board review and public consultation have been addressed, and if any changes recommended by the technical working group have been incorporated.